Well, hey guys, so it's Monday night for me. I hope your day went well. This video will be going up on Tuesday, the Tuesday following my updated nighttime skincare routine video, which would have gone up on Monday. And so I thought I would start this video out with a little bit of chatty points about my nighttime skincare routine. If you missed it, be sure you check it out so that these points are relevant. I'll list it down below in the description box. Hopefully I remember to do that so you can find it expeditiously. Alternatively, you could likewise find it in the playlist tab of my channel entitled Skincare Routines. So that is another place that you can find it. But tonight I am doing, guys, I'm totally loving these Sana Japanese no-nonsense hyaluronic acid and soy filtrate based humectant masks. This is the second one that I'm doing, and you're like, wait a minute, you just filmed an updated nighttime skincare routine and there was zero mention of mask. Before you all panic and wonder like, what did I leave out? What am I not telling you? I'm basically doing this tonight because I enjoy these and I have them and I like doing them for fun. But I want to make some points about the rationale behind the moisturizers and how I apply the moisturizers, and some talking points that I think will be helpful to you. And to you, I mean you. I view each of you as an individual. When I talk to this camera, I feel like I'm just talking to you, not to an audience. It's kind of a funny thing. You're this person inside of my camera that I talk to all the time. So thank you for watching. Okay, so I'm basically doing this tonight, just as a disclaimer, or out of convenience, essentially, because it kind of puts the brakes on what's going on my face for my nighttime skincare routine, so that I can come out here into my bedroom and sit down here, like, and reasonably talk to you guys, versus trying to leap through it in my bathroom. This just kind of slows things down. And by slows things down, I'm specifically talking about transepidermal water loss, which is what I want to emphasize to you guys is something that, regardless of your skin type, whether you be a adolescent or whatever with oily skin, enlarged pores, acne, or whether you be a gal in your 60s, 80s, 90s, rocking it, this applies, okay? It's not a mature skin, an oily skin, a poor skin, a combination skin thing. This is just a tenet of skincare health that I think is helpful. So, as far as moisturizers, one of the things that I think is confusing and what I want to verbalize here is, you'll notice in my nighttime skincare routine as well as my AM skincare routine that I use, I've been loving this Hada Labo Super Plumping gel cream. This is a humectant, guys. I talk a little bit more about the differences between humectants and moisturizers in my moisturizer Q&A, so make sure you check that out if you missed that one. But the function of this, and where I think these kinds of products, both this one and the Neutrogena Hydro Boost that I mentioned in my video, where I think they get lost, and the people who are selling these to you guys are really, screwing it up, is they're selling them as moisturizers, okay? And really what they are is humectants, okay? And so humectants, namely hyaluronic acid, but in a lot of the Asian skincare, it's a variety of other, plant-derived molecules, snail serum, rice filtrate, etc., glucomannan, for example. These humectants, they are sponge-like molecules that hold on to water, okay? They don't necessarily put it back into the skin. They don't make the skin moisturized. They just hold on to it, okay? And so what I'm getting at is that if you do not follow it up with a moisturizer on top, a creamy moisturizer, a layer to seal that in, eventually, regardless, the water sponge is going to dry up. So I hear a lot in the comments like, well, I tried the Neutrogena Hydro Boost and it dried me out. Like, why is that? It didn't seem very good. Or, will this hyaluronic acid in the Hada Labo be better? This actually made my pores look worse. It made me more oily. These are kind of some of the concerns, and I think it's because they're not telling you guys how to use this right. They're selling it as an excellent as a moisturizer, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to put it on my face and things are going to be great. But think of it this way: if you do that, imagine you're a sponge, right? Imagine a sponge, just like a dish sponge, that is saturated and soggy with water and, you know, nice and moist there. If you leave it out on your countertop, okay, in the open air, eventually it's going to dry up, right? Eventually it will dry up. You know, water will leave it, and that sponge will just be a dried up sponge, okay? But if instead you put it in a Ziploc baggie and seal it up and don't allow any of the water to evaporate, the water will stay in the sponge. And that's really what you want to do with moisturizing the skin. Whether you know, it doesn't matter what chronology you know your skin is. This really just applies to epidermal barrier function. And the reason it's important is because when we lose water from the skin, when we allow water to evaporate off of the skin after cleansing, what ends up happening is that the skin becomes dry, irritated, and it becomes susceptible to kind of dullness, lifelessness, sagginess. By doing moisturizers in this manner, the way that I have hopefully demonstrated to you in my AM and PM skincare routine videos, here we're almost getting a little dry. Hopefully you're starting to realize that it's really a two-step process. If you're going to be using hyaluronic acid solo, as really, if you use it solo, these humectants is a solo thing, they're not going to be effective. They literally are best served as a booster to your moisturizer, as, you know, kind of a sponge. And this mask, likewise, is kind of similar in the same vein, in that this is coated with a nice jelly-like goop of humectant, okay? If I left this on my face indefinitely, eventually, it's gonna dry up, okay? This little sheet, I don't exactly know what this material is. I'm blanking on it. But this is still wet, okay? And you know, it's really acting like the Ziploc baggie right now. But eventually, this Ziploc baggie is gonna dry up. I mean, if I just left this on my face indefinitely, it'll dry up and I'd be left with a dry mess. So that's why I'm actually gonna take it off now. And you can see I've got a nice glommed on goopy layer there. I'm just gonna pat it in. Okay, so my face is still nice and moist and wet and hydrated. And just to show you guys, as I did last night in my nighttime skincare routine, this is what, you know, I would normally be doing, is just taking a pea-sized amount of this humectant. Now, a lot of you all were asking me, like, oh, okay, which one is better, the Hydra Boost or the Hada Labo one? And I think, you know, the other day I verbalized a little bit about how the Hada Labo one has methylchloroisothiazinolone, so if you're allergic to that, it could be problematic. But in my mind, the Hada Labo one it just goes a lot further. It spreads a lot easier. You don't need as much of it for it to stay on the skin. Okay, and so now, while my skin is still wet, now is when I'm going to seal in. Now is when I'm going to put the Ziploc baggie on. And I'm coming in with CeraVe here, which is a ceramide-containing moisturizer. Similarly, you could use this expensive Dr. Jart's one that also has ceramide in it, and a bunch of fragrance. The CeraVe one, you know, in my mind, happens to be very good and very reasonable, but, you know, either are fine. All right, now you're just putting the Ziploc baggie on it, okay? You're just kind of putting the seal on, okay? And the skin is nice and hydrated now and really well moisturized, okay? And guess what? Now that the skin is hydrated and moisturized properly, it looks brighter, it looks plumper, it looks, you know, the pores look smaller because the skin is plumped up and the holes there are, you know, surrounded by nice swollen, plumped up keratinocytes that are, you know, nice and moisturized and softened, and the skin is good and moisturized, okay? And so now we're good to go. And there's really the nice thing about doing it this way is that your moisturizer is not sticky and goopy, and it just sets up much better, okay? Likewise, the same approach on the body is also, you know, a good one to do, is to put the I always emphasize, put the moisturizer on to wet skin, okay? Immediately before you even step out of the shower while the water is off, just put that moisturizer on, because that will cut down on the transepidermal water loss. And, you know, really that's what's necessary for keeping the skin moisturized. Stepping away from the face now, talking about the body. Moisturizing the body, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. It's very, very important. I mean, you know, the skin on our head and neck, it's not the majority of our organ system, so you cannot neglect that. And you know, I think they did some sort of observational study wherein women coming to the dermatologist, they overemphasize what type of facial moisturizer they should be doing, and like 95% of them weren't using any moisturizer on their body, and they had dry skin. And so somehow this principle of moisturizing the body, at least here, you know, in maybe the United States, I'm not sure in Japan and Korea, where the skincare game is very focused. I think perhaps it is different. Comment below. But somehow we're missing out on that message. Now, the other thing I will talk about, because I've gotten some questions about, is ceramides. And, you know, I talk about ceramides a fair amount. They're just a component of our skin barrier. And people with dry skin tend to be a little bit deficient in them, namely people who have eczema. And people, as we get older, or if you're on a lot of medications, you know, they can just kind of wane a little bit. And they're important for keeping the skin barrier itself intact, regardless of moisturizers or anything like that. They're important for just keeping things nice and intact and reducing this transepidermal water loss. They're just a natural part of our skin biology that functions in keeping the skin from getting too dry, okay? And so it's been shown that using moisturizers that contain ceramide in them can help restore the skin barrier as though they were part of your own. And they also can help signal to your skin to make more of its own. So that's why I you know, emphasize that ceramides in skincare moisturizers are great. They're in all the CeraVe products, which I love and have reviewed. And you know, the Asian skincare, both Japan and Korea, at least from what I've been looking into, also strongly emphasizes the role of ceramides. So you know, it's a global phenomenon, if you will. And I think that is an ingredient that I would encourage everybody to employ in their daily skincare routine, regardless of the age or what have you. I think it'd be very, very helpful. Some lifestyle fun updates. Oh my gosh, so today was Monday, and yesterday was Sunday, and you and I went into Ulta together, and I went on a little tirade against my gal Gwenny P, I guess she is. And while we were doing that, my crock pot was cooking away. I had a curried lentil and fresh corn cook down, and don't worry, I filmed it for you guys, so I will insert that footage here if you are interested. But OMG, it was so good. I had it for dinner last night, and I took it for lunch today. I'll insert some of that footage here if you guys are interested. If not, thank you for sticking around this long. I hope this video was helpful to you all. So yeah, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. Talk to you guys later. Bye.